You are about to embark upon the Great Crusade. Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well trained, well equipped, and battle hardened. We will accept nothing less than full victory. Good luck, and let us all beseech the blessing of Almighty God upon this great and noble undertaking.
Welcome to the Army Flashcards podcast. This is the Ranger School series, and I'm your host, Zach Wiley. So, if this is your first time listening, or you kind of stumbled upon this podcast not really knowing what to expect, first off, welcome. Thank you for checking us out. This series is simply a reading of the Ranger Handbook, TC 3-21.76, and each episode is a chapter from the Ranger Handbook. So, if you're looking for commentary or advice on Ranger School, we're not quite there yet. We will eventually go back and remaster this series, do add in commentary, especially on the more dynamic topics like the ambush, the raid. But for now, if you're looking for more resources, be sure to check out the Army Flashcards website at armystudyguideflashcards.com. That's armystudyguideflashcards.com. And on there, we have tons of free resources for you guys. Some great digital Ranger quizzes. We even have a full 100-question pre-Ranger test. So check all of that out, and we hope that this podcast, along with those resources, help you prepare to chase down your Ranger tab. So with that, good luck and Godspeed. Alright, so for those of you who joined us last time in episode 3, we ended that podcast talking about how we were going to finish Chapter 2 operations by going through all the frag ord shells and op ord shells that end that chapter. However, I've kind of changed my mind. We'll go back and do that eventually, but I don't know if you've ever tried reading a bunch of blank shells. It's not particularly enjoyable, and there's a lot of them. So we're going to move right on to Chapter 3 in the Ranger Handbook. We'll go back and make an Episode 3B or something for all those shells later on. So for now, this will be Episode 4, Chapter 3 of the Ranger Handbook. Ranger Handbook, Chapter 3, Fire Support. Indirect fire support can greatly increase the combat effectiveness and survivability of an infantry unit. The ability to plan for and effectively use this asset is a task that every ranger and small unit leader should master. Fire support assets can help a unit by suppressing, fixing, destroying, or neutralizing the enemy. Leaders should consider employing indirect fire support throughout every offensive and defensive operation. This chapter discusses plans, tasks, capabilities, risk estimate distances, also known as REDs, target overlays, close air support, also known as CAS elements, and sequence of calls for fire, and an example of call for fire transmissions. See Appendix A of this publication for more information. Basic Tasks and Targeting 3-1. The effectiveness of the fire support systems depends on successful performance of its 4 basic tasks. This includes support forces in contact, support the battle plan, synchronize the fire support system, and sustain the fire support system. Targeting objectives are the overall effects the leader hopes to achieve with fire support assets. Decide is the first functional step in the targeting process. A decision defines the overall focus and sets priorities for collecting intelligence and planning the attack. The leader addresses targeting priorities for each phase or critical event of an operation. At all echelons, one or more alternative courses of action is analyzed. Each is based on mission analysis, current and projected battle situations, anticipated opportunities. 3-2. Detect is the second critical function. The intelligence officer, G2 or S2, directs the effort to detect the high payoff targets, HPTs, identified in the decide step. To identify the exact who, what, when, and how of target acquisition, the intelligence officer works closely with the analysis and control element, field artillery intelligence officer, targeting officer, and FSO, or both. Interdiction 3-3. Interdiction is an action to divert, disrupt, delay, intercept, board, detain, or destroy the enemy's military surface capabilities, such as vessels, vehicles, aircraft, people, and cargo, before they can be used effectively against friendly forces or to otherwise achieve friendly objectives. Table 3-1 on page 3-2 and Table 3-2 on page 3-3 outline the capabilities of mortars and field artillery. Interdiction limits, reduces enemy options. For example, direct air interdiction and fire support to limit enemy avenues of approach and fire support. Disrupts, stops effective interaction between the enemy and their support systems. reduces enemy efficiency, and increases vulnerability. Delays disrupts, diverts, or destroys enemy capabilities or targets. Changes when the enemy reaches a point on the battlefield or changes their ability to project combat power from it. Diverts creates a distraction that forces the enemy to tie up critical resources. For example, attack targets that cause the enemy to move capabilities or assets from one area or activity to another. Destroys ruins the structure or condition of a vital enemy target. Destruction can be defined as an objective by stating a number or percentage of enemy asset or target that the weapon systems can realistically achieve. For example, artillery normally says that destruction comprises a 30% reduction in capability or structural integrity. Maneuver combat forces normally use 70%. Damages. This can be a subjective or objective assessment of battle damage, or it can describe the damage to the objective as light, moderate, or severe. Table 3-1, Capabilities of Mortars. As a side note, there's actually a few mistakes in this table, so I'm going to read them the way it should read rather than what's in the Ranger Handbook. Table 3-1, Weapon System, 60mm, Munition available, HE, white phosphorus, illum. Max range in meters, 3,500 meters HE. Minimum range, 70 meters HE. Burst radius, 30 meters. Sustained rate, rounds per minute, 30 for 4 minutes. Weapon system, 81mm. Munition available, HE, white phosphorus, and illum. Max range in meters, 5,600 meters HE. Minimum range, 70 meters HE. Burst radius in meters, 38 meters. And sustained rate, 25 for 2 minutes. Weapon system, 120mm. Munition available, HE, smoke, illum. Max range, 7,200 meters. Minimum range, 180 meters. Burst radius, 60 meters. Sustained rate, 15 for 1 minute. End Table 3-1. Table 3-2, Capabilities of Field Artillery. As another side note, I'm not going to read every column in this table, as some of them have a lot of acronyms that I would have to kind of spell out, and if you're not familiar with them anyways, it's not going to help you much, so I will read the most pertinent columns in this table. Table 3-2, Capabilities of Field Artillery. Artillery System, 105mm. Maximum range, 11,500 meters with charge 7, 14,000 with charge 8. Rates of fire, rounds per minute. Sustained, 3 for 30 minutes. Maximum, every 3 minutes. Artillery System, 155mm. Max range, 18,000 or 22,000 meters with M795HE, M825 smoke. Rates of fire, sustained, 2. Maximum, every 3 minutes. End Table 3-2. Danger close. When the target is within 600 meters of any friendly troops, for mortars and field artillery, announce danger close in the method of engagement portion of the call for fire. When adjusting 5-inch or smaller naval guns on targets within 750 meters, announce danger close. For larger naval guns, announce danger close for targets within 1,000 meters. Failure to adhere to this guidance can result in fratricide. Avoid making corrections using the bracketing method of adjustment. Doing so can cause serious injury or death. Use only the creeping method of adjustment during danger close missions. Make corrections of no more than 100 meters by creeping the rounds to the target. Risk estimate distance, 3-4. Risk estimate distance applies to combat only. Minimum safe distances, MSDs, apply to training. Red takes into account the bursting radius of particular munitions and the characteristics of the delivery system. It associates this combination with a percentage representing the likelihood of becoming a casualty. It is the percentage of risk. 3-5. Red is defined as the minimum distance friendly troops can approach the effects of friendly fires without suffering appreciable casualties of 0.1% point of impact or higher. Table 3-3 on page 3-5 gives the reds for mortars and cannon artillery and includes the dual-purpose improved conventional munitions. Refer to ATP 3-09.32, Fire Multi-Service Tactics, Techniques, and Procedures for the Joint Application of Firepower for more information. Warning: use red formulas only in combat to determine acceptable risk levels and to identify the risk to rangers at various distances from the targets. When training, use minimum safe distances. Table 3-3, Risk Estimate Distances for Unguided Mortars and Cannon Artillery. System, M224. Description, 60mm mortar. Danger close, 600 meters. Range, 1/3, 2/3 max. Range, 1/3. 0.1% incapacitation. Standing, 115 meters or 378 feet. Prone, 115 meters, 378 feet. For range, 2/3. 0.1%. For 2/3 range, 0.1% incapacitation. Standing, 125 meters or 410 feet. Prone, 120 meters, 394 feet. Max range, 0.1% incapacitation for standing, 145 meters or 476 feet. Same for the prone. Weapon system, M29, M29A1. Description, 81mm mortar. Danger close, 600 meters. Range, 1/3, 0.1% incapacitation. Standing, 170 meters or 558 feet. Prone, 160 meters, 525 feet. For 2/3 range, 195 meters, 640 feet. For prone, 190 meters, 624 feet. And for max range, 195 meters, 640 feet. Prone, 185 meters, 670 feet. M120, M327. Description, 120mm mortar. Danger close, 600 meters. For 1/3 range, the 0.1% incapacitation standing is 280 meters or 919 feet. And for prone is 260 meters, 853 feet. 2/3 range, 395 meters, 1,296 feet for standing, and for prone, 365 meters, 1,198 feet. And for max range, 430 meters, 1,411 feet for standing, and for prone, 410 meters, 1,345 feet. Unguided cannon risk estimate distances. System, M119. Description, 105mm howitzer. Danger close, 600 meters. Range, 1/3. 0.1% incapacitation for standing, 290 meters or 952 feet. For prone, 270 meters, 886 feet. For 2/3 range, standing incapacitation, 300 meters, 984 feet. For prone, 285 meters, 935 feet. And for the max range, standing incapacitation at 455 meters or 1,493 feet. And for prone, 430 meters, 1,411 feet. System, M109 Alpha 6 or M777 Alpha 2. Description, 155mm. Danger close, 600 meters. Range, 1/3. 0.1% incapacitation for standing, 300 meters or 984 feet. And for prone, 285 meters, 935 feet. For 2/3 range, standing incapacitation at 460 meters or 1,509 feet. And for prone, 440 meters or 1,444 feet. And for max range, 0.1% incapacitation for standing is 695 meters or 2,280 feet. And for prone, 665 meters or 2,182 feet. And Table 3-3. 3-6. Casualty criterion is the 5-minute assault criterion for a prone ranger in winter clothing and helmet. Physical incapacitation means that a ranger is physically unable to function in an assault within a 5-minute period after an attack. A point of impact value of less than 0.1% can be interpreted as being less than or equal to 1 chance in 1,000. 3-7. Using echelonment of fires within the specified red for a delivery system requires the unit to assume some risks. The maneuver commander determines by delivery system how close to the forces the fires are allowed to fall. Although the decision is made at this risk level, the commander relies heavily on the FSO's expertise. Target overlays, 3-8. Table 3-4 shows the contents of Fire Support Overlay. The sterile Fire Support Overlay is depicted in Figure 3-1 on page 3-6. The non-sterile Fire Support Overlay is shown in Figure 3-2 on page 3-7. The non-sterile Fire Support Overlay is shown in Figure 3-2 on page 3-7. This includes index marks to position overlay on map, target symbols. Table 3-4, Contents of Fire Support Overlay. Unit and official capacity of person making overlay. Date the overlay was prepared. Map sheet number. Effective period of overlay. Day, time group. Priority target. Objective rally point location. Call signs and frequencies, primary and alternate. Routes, primary and alternate. Phase lines and checkpoints used by the patrol. Spares, index marks to position overlay on map. Objective, target symbols, description, location, and remarks column complete. End Table 3-4. 3-9. Target, trigger, location, observer, delivery system, attack guidance, and communications network. also known as a TT LODAC checklist. Using one of these, see Table 3-5, helps ensure the leader's fire support plan is complete. It is used to identify all aspects of individual targets before coordination and the op order. Table 3-5, TT LODAC checklist. Target. Number or type of target. Trigger. When to fire the target. Location. Minimum of 6-digit grid. Observer. Primary and alternate. Delivery system. Mortar, artillery, air. Attack guidance. Ammo, special instructions. Communications net. Company attack or artillery coordinated fire line. And Table 3-5. Call for fire. 3-10. Definite steps are taken when making a call for fire, starting with call signs and the warning order. These steps are precise in order to preserve the safety of Rangers while accurately hitting the target. 3-11. An example of call for fire transmissions is shown in Table 3-6 on page 3-11. Asterisks below indicate required elements for a basic call for fire mission. These steps are A. Observer's identification, call signs, asterisk. B. Warning order, asterisk. Type of mission. The types of missions are adjust fire, fire for effect, suppress, immediate suppression, immediate smoke. Size of element to fire for effect. When observer does not specify size element to fire, Battalion Fire Direction Center, the FTC, decides. C. Method of target location, asterisk. Polar plot, shift from a known point, or grid. D. Location of target, asterisk. Grid coordinates. 6-digit, or if greater accuracy is required, 8-digit. Shift from a known point. Send observer target direction. Mills to the nearest 10. Degrees. Cardinal direction. Send lateral shift right, left nearest 10 meters. Send range shift, add, drop nearest 100 meters. Send vertical shift up, down nearest 5 meters. Use only if it exceeds 35 meters. And for polar plot, send direction to nearest 10 mils. Send distance to nearest 100 meters. Send vertical shift to nearest 5 meters. E. Description of target. Asterisk. Type, activity, number, degree of protection, size and shape, length, width, or radius. F. Method of engagement. Type of adjustment. When observer does not request a specific type of fire control adjustment, issue area fire. Precision fire equals point target, area fire equals moving target. Danger close. This condition exists when friendly troops are within 600 meters for mortars, 600 meters for artillery, 750 meters for naval guns, 5 inches or smaller. Mark. Used to orient observer or to indicate targets. Trajectory. Low angle, standard. High angle, mortar fire or if requested. Ammunition. Use high explosive quick unless specified by the observer. Projectile. HE, illumination, improved conventional munitions, also known as ICM, or smoke. Fuse. Quick, timed, and other options. Volume of fire. Observer may request the number of rounds to be fired. Distribution. 100 meter sheaf, standard. Converged sheaf, used for small hard targets. Special sheaf, any length, width, and attitude. Open sheaf, separate bursts. Parallel sheaf, linear target. G. Method of fire and control. Method of fire. Specific guns and a specific interval between rounds. Normally adjust fire. One gun is used with a 5-second interval between rounds. Method of control. At my command, fire. This remains in effect until observer orders cancel at my command. Cannot observe. Observer cannot see the target. Time on target. Observer tells the FTC when he wants the rounds to impact. Continuous illumination. If this was not already calculated by the FTC, the observer indicates interval between rounds in seconds. Coordinated illumination. Observer tells FTC to set interval between Illum and HE shells. Cease loading. Check firing. Halt immediately. Continuous fire. Load and fire as fast as possible. Repeat. Fire another round with or without adjustments. H. Correction of errors. When the FTC has made an error when reading back fire support data, the observer announces correction and transmits the correct data in its entirety. I. Message to observer. Batteries to fire for effect. Adjustment of battery. Changes to the initial call for fire. Number of rounds per tube to be fired for effect. Target numbers. Additional information. Time of flight, moving target mission. Probable error in range, 38 meters or greater for normal mission. Angle T, 500 mils or greater. And then J, authentication, challenge, and reply. Table 3-6, example of call for fire transmissions. Grid mission, observer, Fox 24, this is Juliet 42, adjust fire over, firing unit. Juliet 42, this is Fox 24, adjust fire out. Grid, Whiskey Mike 180513, direction 0530, out. Observer, infantry platoon dug in, over, firing unit. Infantry platoon dug in, out. Observer, shot out, firing unit, shot over. Observer, splash out, firing unit, splash over. Observer, end of mission, 15 casualties, platoon dispersed, over, firing unit, end of mission, 15 casualties, platoon dispersed, out. Shift from known point. Observer, Juliet 42, this is Fox 24, adjust fire, shift Alpha Bravo 1001, over, firing unit. Fox 24, this is Juliet 42, adjust fire, shift Alpha Bravo 1001, out. Observer, direction 2420, right 400, add 400, over. Firing unit, direction 2420, right 400, add 400, out. Observer, 5 T-72 tanks at pole site, over. Firing unit, 5 T-72 tanks at pole site, authenticate, Juliet, November, over. Observer, I authenticate, Tango, over. Observer, shot out. Firing unit, shot, over. Observer, end of mission, 2 tanks destroyed, 3 in woodline, over. Firing unit, end of mission, 15 casualties, platoon dispersed, out. Polar mission. Observer, Juliet 42, this is Fox 24, adjust fire, polar, over. Firing unit, Fox 24, this is Juliet 42, adjust fire, polar, out. Observer, direction 2300, distance 4000, over. Firing unit, direction 2300, distance 4000, out. Observer, infantry platoon dug in, over. Firing unit, infantry platoon dug in, out. Observer, shot out. Firing unit, shot, over. Observer, splash out. Firing unit, splash, over. Observer, end of mission, 15 casualties, platoon dispersed, over. Firing unit, end of mission, 15 casualties, platoon dispersed, out. End Table 3-6. Close air support 3-12. There are 2 types of close air support requests, planned and immediate. Planned requests are processed by the Army chain to Corps for approval. Immediate requests are initiated at any level and processed by the Battalion Operations Officer, the S3, FSO, and Air Liaison Officer. 3-13. Figure 3-3 is an example of calling for close air support. Close air support capabilities are detailed in Table 3-7 on pages 3-14 and 3-15, and Table 3-8 on page 3-16. Table 3-7 details fixed-wing CAS capabilities, and Table 3-8 details unmanned aircraft system UAS capabilities. The following is the format for requesting immediate CAS. Observer identification, the warning order, request close air support, target description. At a minimum, this includes type and number of targets, activity or movement, and point or area targets. Target location, grid, should include elevation. Desired time on target, desired effects on target, final control, remarks, report. Friendly locations, wind direction and hazards, threats such as air defense artillery or small arms. Army Attack Aviation 3-14. Army Attack Aviation is defined as a hasty or deliberate attack in support of units engaged in close combat. During an attack, armed helicopters engage enemy units with direct fire that impacts nearby friendly forces. Targets may range from a few hundred meters to a few thousand meters. Army Attack Aviation is coordinated and directed by a team, platoon, or company-level ground unit soldiers using standardized Army Attack Aviation procedures and unit SOPs. 3-15. During the planning process, the team, platoon, or company-level leadership is responsible for ensuring enough time is allowed to conduct rehearsals between the ground unit and the aviation unit in order to ensure all participants in the mission have situational awareness of the plan, routes, capabilities, and limitations of what each unit can provide and support. Table 3-10 on page 3-18 details rotary wing CAS capabilities. End Chapter 3. Alright, that's it for this episode. That was Chapter 3, Fire Support. There's a lot of information in there, a lot of technical stuff. Really the important thing for fire support for a ranger school, you got to know how to plan out your fire support. So know how to put targets on your overlays, do the overlays correctly, and really you just need to know how to use the correct system for your mission, right? So you generally need to know the reds, not perfectly, but know if you're going to kill yourself or not by using different systems, and certainly need to know how to call in the fire support missions. Next chapter is Communications, Chapter 4 of the Ranger Handbook, and then after that is Chapter 5, Demolitions. So we got a few more chapters with baseline knowledge before we get into some of the more classic Ranger School topics like ambush, raid, etc. So thank you again for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.